Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm Vanessa Santos, and my short story is Wildlife, which I'll read a bit of now. She wanted to call Ted, wake him, and make him see this, both so he could worry and plan and figure things out with her, and so he could confirm it for her, validate it. In the back of her head, though, the nagging feeling, the doubt, the fear. To wake him from sleep for nothing frightened her, in a different way than the lion did, but with a tighter grip. There was such distance between them now. The man lying there in their bed, sleeping like the dead, whom she knew so well, yet not at all, had grown into a sort of stranger, wearing her husband's clothes, kissing her with his lips, but hollowed out, a flesh and bone robot going through the motions. He worked so hard, so much, that his world had become nothing but work, and Laura feared to tread upon it. She imagined waking him, his face groggy at first, and then annoyed, making his way to the window with a frown etched into his forehead, glancing outside before giving her a look and dismissing her, going back to bed. It was that look that held her in place and stopped her from calling out, the image of disdain and dismissal she could so readily see on his face. No, she could not wake him, not even for a lion. I find that a very interesting and difficult question to answer because to me it's a story about borders and feeling trapped and the dividing line between both inside world and outside world, and also between yourself and the world and yourself and everyone else. But mostly I feel like it's very depends on the reader, essentially. I feel like the meaning is more for the reader to decide than for me to establish. So I feel like there's a meaning for me, but everyone else will have a different meaning for it, which is my favorite part of writing. So I had essentially an image in my head. There was a night where I looked outside my house and imagined lions prowling the street, essentially, and made me think a lot about the idea of homes as safe places and buildings that are where we feel safe and protected, and there's just this thin border between us and the outside world, and how a sense of danger can invade your house without ever coming into your house, and just that idea of borders between physical space and mental space, and that sense of menace both from inside and from outside, from different kinds of danger and different kinds of threats, basically. Well, I think for that, I'd have to say it's all about the setup and the atmosphere. So to make it unexpected is to play with expectations. So what I find, I love short stories. I think they're an amazing medium for so many things. And I think they're all about atmosphere, or 90% atmosphere, and creating a feeling. So I think it's very much about establishing an atmosphere, and setting up a sort of atmosphere, just setting up the premise of it in a way that allows you to play what your reader is going to see coming, or what they're expecting. I'd say for me it would be mostly just playing with expectations and creating a solid atmosphere that you can bait and switch the reader at the last minute. So as I've mentioned, I think for me it's a lot about atmosphere, but I love there's something Alice Hoffman said about keeping, which applies to any story. It wasn't just about short stories, but keeping the center in mind when telling a story. And I think I find that to be very true to me. So for short story writing, it's a very specific medium, but I think it's each writer would have to like sort of think, what are you trying to achieve with the story? What are you trying to say? What's the center? What's the heart of the story? And always keep that in mind. I think short stories are a great way of playing, in the sense that it doesn't have to be, it can be as structured or as unstructured as you'd like. It could be more about a feeling or a character or a moment, a snapshot even. Usually for me, stories start with an idea, with a snapshot, with an image, and expand from that. So I do think that with short stories in particular, I find that it's very much keeping in mind of what is the center of the story, what is the heart, and trim everything else that's extra out, just to keep the center, to honor the heart of the story of what you're trying to get across, essentially. Yes, as I've mentioned, I love short stories. So there's many that I have realized actually with this question, that my favorite short stories are a lot more about a specific emotion and creating an emotion. But I'd say the one that does something very unexpected in an amazing way would be Kish Johnson's Ponies. It's a story that sets you up expecting, it has a very sugary sweet tone, but you immediately start expecting violence, but then you don't expect unnecessary cruelty. So you get, it starts, you're immediately uneasy from beginning to end, you're uneasy, but there is a point in the story where it just switches, and you're left feeling quite devastated and disturbed. It just does because it keeps the tone of it throughout the whole story. It has this this tone of sugary sweetness underlined with violence, and it has a perfect bite to it at the end that's very shocking but extremely well done. I think that's a spectacular short story.